Welcome to the D9Sports.com EYT Media live video broadcast of the high school football playoff show. Chris Rossetti here along with Rich Rhodes. Rich, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
Hopefully everything goes well with this tonight, folks. It's our first try at live video, so we're not 100% sure how it's all going to go, but we're going to give it our best. District 9 playoff football time is always the best time out there, Rich.
Absolutely. When the weather, actually, if we can keep this weather nice and warm, maybe we'll see some good football in good weather.
Yeah, boy, that would be a nice bit of change for the teams. You know, you usually associate the playoffs with cold weather and in a cold climate and stuff like that, but maybe we'll be good to go with some warm weather this time of year and maybe not have that affect the outcome of some of the playoff games.
Yeah, that's right. And well, we're going to see games on turf mostly, but as far as the weather goes, can't control that, and then teams know that. Yeah,
no question. Quick look at the brackets. You look at the first team out there, Du Bois, and they're playing in Quad A against State College, and then you've got AA regionals, and then you've got the A and AA within District 9. We'll get right into it after this quick break, and when we return, we'll break down the Du Bois State College game.
It can happen anytime, anywhere, when you least expect it. That's why there's Bauer Truck Repair. And when you need to get back on the road and keep the wheels moving, we have the people and the power to get the job done. From 24-hour roadside repairs to towing and recovery services, our professional team is on call 24/7. And whether your truck needs a simple oil change or a complete engine rebuild, Bauer Truck Repair has the technology, the tools, and the team to get you back on the road. Our state-of-the-art facility is second to none to keep up the demand for truck and trailer repairs, plus state and federal inspections, preventative maintenance, and more, all at Bauer Truck Repair, just off I-80 and Route 66 in Chippenville, 814-226-6023, or visit us online at exploreClarion.com.
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion too.
We're Clarion too.
And I'm a member.
A member.
A member.
Clarion Federal Credit Union.
And now, even if you're in Venango, Forest, Clarion, or Jefferson counties, you can be a member too. Better than a bank with great rates and fee-less checking options. See how membership can really pay off no matter where you are. Only at Clarion Federal Credit Union.
My family opened up the Carpet Barn back in 1971. Clarion looked a lot different than it does today. Over the past 44 years, we've dedicated ourselves to being your place for not only the best carpet, but also the most reliable service. We've learned that our customers are the most valuable assets we have. And if we continue to offer affordable carpet and dependable service, we can look forward to the next 44 years in the Clarion area. Come visit us today at the Carpet Barn.
There's golf. Then there's Treasure Lake. 2 PGA-rated courses and the ultimate golfing experience, and the most breathtaking and beautifully maintained courses in the region. Always affordable with special offers and amazing discounts. Finally, spectacular golf at an affordable price. Welcome to Treasure Lake. For packages, memberships, video tours, and more, visit our website at treasurelakepoa.com.
Our home, our history, our pride. Year after year, as seasons change and memories are made, one thing will never change. Home is always right here. And when you walk through our doors, we never forget that, because this is our home too. So come on in, have a seat, and welcome home. The Triple R Roadhouse in the Clarion Mall, just off Interstate 80 at exit 62.
Welcome back to the show. Let's start, Rich, with the Du Bois State College game. That's the District 6, 9 Quad A game. Du Bois 5-5, State College 7-3. That game's at Hollidaysburg High School, 7 o'clock on Friday night. The winner will take on the winner of, I think it's the District 10 Pittsburgh City League winner in 2 weeks. Actually, that'll be in 2 weeks. So whoever wins this game will get a quick break in between. And first of all, take a look at Du Bois. When you look at Du Bois, the Beavers under head coach Frank Faraschetti, had an up and down year. They started out with a big win, then they struggled in the middle, got hot towards the end, but now here at the very end of the season, they've lost 2 games in a row.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a team, and again, the 100-point giving up team, they're going to the playoffs. That sounds really strange, but that seems like a really long time ago, doesn't it? I mean, but what you're looking at is a team that runs up a lot of yardage. They're going to score a lot of points. It seems like the question is, can they stop a team? They had a rough time last week at Carson City, but they're going to just try to have to outscore State College. It's going to be a tall task. State College plays a tougher schedule. They're 7-3. This is a decent team. You know, Matt Miller is going to have to fling the ball everywhere.
Yeah, and you know, he's done that this year to a great success, over 3,500 yards passing, 32 touchdowns, has thrown 11 interceptions. Dante Dawson, Zach Sloan, Colin Reed, Cal Hobson, they've got a bunch of really good wide receivers out there as well, but they're still, the last couple of weeks, they haven't really put up the kind of offensive numbers, even though the numbers themselves are great. There's been too many turnovers in the last couple of weeks that has really slowed them down. And if they have any shot at beating the State College team, they're going to need to not turn the ball over.
Yeah, they share one common opponent, just in case anybody was wondering about that, because they do play very different schedules. Mifflin County, Du Bois beat them 51-41 in the opening week, and just last week, State College beat Mifflin County 52-7. Just a couple name drops on the State College side. Junior quarterback Tyler Snyder has thrown for over 1,000 yards. Their leading running back is a senior, Jordan Misher. He's rushed for almost 1,300 yards and 20 TDs. A little bit of balance there, but it looks like mostly it's a power running team, probably a physical team that Du Bois is going to have to deal with. And it's been a big roadblock for this Du Bois team to get past State College. They have not beaten them since 1996, which happens to be the last year that they've won a postseason game, 1996, and it happened to be against Hollidaysburg. Now they're at Hollidaysburg Friday night, but they beat Hollidaysburg that year. That's the last year they beat State College as well. That's 13 straight losses to the Little Line. So it's a big hurdle for the program, and coaches openly admitted that they need this win. This is going to be a tall task.
There's no question, and I don't know if this is the Du Bois team that's going to be able to do it, though, Rich. They're a young team. I think they're going to get better. They're going to lose Dante Dawson. They're going to lose Zach Sloan, but they're going to return an awful lot of skilled players, an awful lot of guys on the line next year. So I think that, sure, you go in thinking you're going to have a shot at winning. Right. You're going to try to win the game, but I think in the end, getting good experience might be the best thing that comes out of this game for Du Bois. Absolutely,
and really, if they put up any numbers against State College, they could end up the season with 3 1,000-yard receivers. That's crazy. I don't think any of these 3,000 passers that we've had the last 5-6 years, which is amazing that we've had it in District 9, nobody's had that breakdown. A lot of offensive talent out there, but it's really going to come down to defense.
Yeah, no question, and that has been the real issue for Du Bois this year, is stopping anybody. It goes well beyond the 100 points that they gave up to Meadville. They gave up 60-some to Du Bois last week.
Carson City,
yeah, Carson City last week. I mean, they gave up a whole bunch to General McLean the week before. They're not stopping anybody. Frankly, people are just blowing them off the ball. They're not tackling the whole 9 yards. Everything that could possibly go wrong for you on defense is going wrong for them on defense right now. So I think it's going to be a tall task. Well, it's time to take another break. When we come back, we'll break down the District 5, 6, 8, 9 AAA bracket that includes Clearfield out of District 9. You're watching the inaugural D9Sports.com EYT Media live playoff video broadcast.
It can happen anytime, anywhere, when you least expect it. That's why there's Bauer Truck Repair. And when you need to get back on the road and keep the wheels moving, we have the people and the power to get the job done. From 24-hour roadside repairs to towing and recovery services, our professional team is on call 24/7. And whether your truck needs a simple oil change or a complete engine rebuild, Bauer Truck Repair has the technology, the tools, and the team to get you back on the road. Our state-of-the-art facility is second to none to keep up the demand for truck and trailer repairs, plus state and federal inspections, preventative maintenance, and more, all at Bauer Truck Repair, just off I-80 and Route 66 in Chippenville, 814-226-6023, or visit us online at exploreClarion.com.
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion too.
We're Clarion too.
And I'm a member.
A member.
member.
Clarion Federal Credit Union.
And now, even if you're in Venango, Forest, Clarion, or Jefferson counties, you can be a member too. Better than a bank with great rates and fee-less checking options. See how membership can really pay off no matter where you are. Only at Clarion Federal Credit Union.
When my family opened up the carpet barn back in 1971, Clarion looked a lot different than it does today. Over the past 44 years, we've dedicated ourselves to being your place for not only the best carpet, but also the most reliable service. We've learned that our customers are the most valuable assets we have. And if we continue to offer affordable carpet and dependable service, we can look forward to the next 44 years in the Clarion area. Come visit us today at the Carpet Barn.
There's golf. Then there's Treasure Lake. 2 PGA-rated courses and the ultimate golfing experience, and the most breathtaking and beautifully maintained courses in the region. Always affordable with special offers and amazing discounts. Finally, spectacular golf at an affordable price. Welcome to Treasure Lake. For packages, memberships, video tours, and more, visit our website at treasurelakepoa.com.
Our home, our history, our pride. Year after year, as seasons change and memories are made, one thing will never change. Home is always right here. And when you walk through our doors, we never forget that, because this is our home too. So come on in, have a seat, and welcome home. The Triple R Roadhouse in the Clarion Mall, just off Interstate 80 at exit 62.
I didn't write down any Clearfield notes, but I think we're good.
Welcome back to the D9Sports.com EYT Media District 9 Playoff Preview video. Rich Rhodes here next to me. I'm Chris Rossetti. Time for the District 5, 6, 8, 9 sub-regional playoffs. Clearfield's the top seed. Somerset, who won that region last year, is the number 2 seed. After them comes University Prep out of the Pittsburgh City League, and then Johnstown out of District 6. Johnstown will be at Clearfield at 7 p.m. on Friday night. University Prep will be at Somerset at 7 p.m. on Friday night as well. When you look at this Clearfield team, they lost in week 1 to Fort Hill, Maryland. Since then, they haven't lost, and they've been pretty impressive. He's really matured as a quarterback in his senior year. He's got the size, my goodness. I think he's like 6'7", Rich. Very tall running back, very tall quarterback.
Right.
And then you've got Seth Caldwell, who is built like a scat back almost. Not a big kid, tough kid though, strong kid, quick kid. And then Ryan Lezer, the younger brother of Christian Lezer, who unfortunately saw his college football career come to an end this year because of some concussions. But you know that there's a lot of football talent there within the genes of Ryan Lezer, and that's pretty much been an offense that likes to be balanced. You covered Tim Janocko at the beginning of your career. I'm guessing that Tim really likes the idea of having that balance on an offense.
Oh, absolutely. I know in the 90s there it was pass to set up the run, and or run to set up the pass, I guess. But you know, it was a pass. You know, it was a pass first, not pass first, but that's where their success was. They had a lot of success up to that point. I don't think they had a 1,000-yard rusher through my years, and then once the late 90s kicked in, that's when the running game kind of got kicked out. And they've had good quarterbacks the whole way through, but it seems like the running game has come to the forefront. And honestly, a powerful running game is going to set the tone for a powerful team. I mean, that's the way to go. But balance is clearly there.
No question, and they really do like that balance. Got some technical stuff going on here, but they really do like that balance. And I really like Seth Caldwell. Here's a kid he's only a junior, believe it or not, Rich. Yeah. Seems like he's been around forever, but he's only a junior. I really like what he brings to the table. Gotten a chance to watch him on video a bunch this year. The stuff that he does is very impressive. He's not afraid to run between the tackles, not afraid to run on the outside. Very good running back, maybe one of the better ones in District 9.
Absolutely, and again, it comes back to balance, and this team is playing pretty good defense. You didn't mention their leading tackler, which his numbers are through the roof. Matt Collins, right?
Yeah, defensively is just
averaging
been
about 14, 15 tackles a game. I mean, and then Leser's a playmaker on the defensive side as well. Yeah, just a lot of balance and talent through that whole lineup.
And you look at that, the rest of that bracket. Somerset was really tough last year. I think went to the state semifinals a year ago. They bring back a lot of their same skill players that they had a year ago too there. So that's going to be a serious challenge because Clearfield got shut out by them and did nothing offensively.
Well, you and I had talked about this, kind of reacquainted ourselves with how that season ended. Somerset beat them 27-0 last year and really stuffed Clearfield. So the question is, did Clearfield close that gap? Quarterback's back for Somerset, Dylan Barnes. He's over 1,000 yards, has rushed for almost 700. Jake Heupel is their running back, their leading rusher back. He's right around 1,000 yards. They did lose, I believe, an all-state linebacker, which is the Mostaller kid, which Clearfield people remember him. He had a big game against them last year defensively as well. Question is, are they as good, and did Clearfield close that gap? But they've got to get past Johnstown, which, by the way, lost to Somerset in week 5, 12-7. Johnstown was leading Somerset 7-6 going into the fourth quarter. So maybe the Trojans is where we need to start, and that's a team that Clearfield beat in the first round last year, 42-27. But that was a blowout at halftime. It was a mercy rule game, 42-7. So the question is, did Johnstown gain on Clearfield? I don't think so.
Yeah, that and then you've got University Prep out of the Pittsburgh City League, and you never know how that's going to. They're going to be a very athletic football team. You remember a few years ago they came up to Clarion University's Memorial Stadium and beat Clearfield. So you don't know where they're going to be in this whole picture too, because they've only played like 8 games. They're 5-3. They haven't played in a couple weeks, so you don't know how any of that's going to affect them either.
Well, yeah, and here's who they've beaten: Perry, Carrick, Westinghouse, Maple Grove out of state, and Amani Christian. They've lost to Brashear, Mars, really bad, and Alderdice in a 2-point game 2 weeks ago. They were off this past weekend. What does that mean? No idea. I would assume University Prep is going to have trouble closing that gap on Somerset as well.
Yeah, no question. Well, we'll take a look. We'll get into the strictly District 9 playoffs coming up here with our AA after this break. You're watching the D9Sports.com EYT live playoff preview football video.
It can happen anytime, anywhere, when you least expect it. That's why there's Bauer Truck Repair. And when you need to get back on the road and keep the wheels moving, we have the people and the power to get the job done. From 24-hour roadside repairs to towing and recovery services, our professional team is on call 24/7. And whether your truck needs a simple oil change or a complete engine rebuild, Bauer Truck Repair has the technology, the tools, and the team to get you back on the road. Our state-of-the-art facility is second to none to keep up the demand for truck and trailer repairs, plus state and federal inspections, preventative maintenance, and more, all at Bauer Truck Repair, just off I-80 and Route 66 in Shippenville, 814-226-6023, or visit us online at exploreClarion.com.
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion too.
We're Clarion too.
And I'm a member.
A member.
A member.
Clarion Federal Credit Union.
And now, even if you're in Venango, Forest, Clarion, or Jefferson counties, you can be a member too. Better than a bank with great rates and fee-less checking options. See how membership can really pay off no matter where you are. Only at Clarion Federal Credit Union.
When my family opened up the carpet barn back in 1971, Clarion looked a lot different than it does today. Over the past 44 years, we've dedicated ourselves to being your place for not only the best carpet, but also the most reliable service. We've learned that our customers are the most valuable assets we have. And if we continue to offer affordable carpet and dependable service, we can look forward to the next 44 years in the Clarion area. Come visit us today at the Carpet Barn.
There's golf. Then there's Treasure Lake. 2 PGA-rated courses and the ultimate golfing experience, and the most breathtaking and beautifully maintained courses in the region. Always affordable with special offers and amazing discounts. Finally, spectacular golf at an affordable price. Welcome to Treasure Lake. For packages, memberships, video tours, and more, visit our website at treasurelakepoa.com.
Our home, our history, our pride. Year after year, as seasons change and memories are made, one thing will never change. Home is always right here. And when you walk through our doors, we never forget that, because this is our home too. So come on in, have a seat, and welcome home. The Triple R Roadhouse in the Clarion Mall, just off Interstate 80 at exit 62.
We're back. Chris, let's get it going. Double A.
Double A football. By the way, you are watching the inaugural D9Sports.com UIT Media Live video broadcast. Folks, I'm sure you can tell Rich and I aren't used to being live out there. So, hey, anytime you're trying something new for the first time,
that's right.
I know people are going to,
Chris has been multitasking the whole broadcast.
I know that our loyal followers out there on D9Sports.com understand that whenever we keep trying to do is give you more and more folks out there in District 9 land. So hopefully this is just the next step towards all of that. So, but moving into the Double A playoffs, when you're looking at it, you've got Karn City, and they're the #1 seed there. When you look at the Gremlins, can anybody even think about beating them?
Based on this, no, they haven't lost to a Double A team, and I wrote it down here somewhere. They haven't lost a D9 playoff game since 2011. I think Montauk is the last time to beat them in the playoffs. They, some ridiculous stretch against teams at this level now. They're just a lot better than the other two teams, Montauk and St. Mary's. We will talk about the teams, but that's really how we sum it up. And the question is, and everybody's wondering, is what can Karn City do beyond districts? I guess us fans and us, the fans and observers can look ahead. Coach Conto is probably trying not to, but how good is this team is the question.
Yeah, I've heard some people say this is as good as maybe the team from 2000 that they had, but only time's going to tell on that. The last couple of years they've gotten as far as the WPIAL champion, and that's been it. And man, things are going to have to break right if they're going to get past that game anyhow. I don't care how good you are out of District 9. The teams out of the WPIAL are just so much better.
Yeah, in Double A, the 4 classes, absolutely. There's no question, and nobody's going to argue that point. It's just it will be an upset.
When you look at Karn City, you look at a team that likes to use a group of players to play. Now, even though they hand the ball off maybe sometimes 10, 12 different guys in a game, they basically have 4 or 5 guys that are the key players on that team. You have 2 quarterbacks, Cullen Williams and Jacob King. Jacob King more of the thrower out of the 2, but Cullen Williams a little bit more going to run the ball, run some more option there.
Cullen runs a lot more than King, but it's uncanny. And we've followed the stats all year. You have, and I have, but when I'm writing the previews, it's almost down to the yards and attempts between those 2 quarterbacks. I guess if you're good enough, you can control that. I don't know if it's an accident, but they use 2. It is interesting.
And then when you look at their running game, Maverick Kelsa, 16 touchdowns now after scoring 1 in the win over Du Bois on Friday night. Chandler Turner had 4 in that game. He's got 11 on the season. He's over 600 yards rushing, as is Colin Dunmeyer. Those 3 guys are the guys, along with Cullen Williams, who are going to do the bulk of the heavy lifting when it really comes time to do the bulk of the heavy lifting for the Gremlins.
Right, and they're playmakers on the other side. You mentioned Chandler Turner. He's leading the defense with 5 interceptions. Kelsey's the leading tackler. Reese Barger has 6 sacks. That's another playmaker. I'm probably missing some names because they're deeper than just those guys defensively. They just have a lot of Stitt's another playmaker. Evan Stitt's another playmaker as well. They just have a lot of good athletes playing football right now.
Yeah, and then we'll go from there, and they're going to play before they can worry about the state playoffs. They're still going to have to get past the winner of a semifinal game, which is being played Friday night up in St. Mary's. It's a rematch game. You've got Montauk, which beat St. Mary's. I think that was a 1-point game.
29-28 last week.
A couple weeks ago, actually, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
And they're playing, now they're flipping the location of that game. They played the first time down in Montauk. Now they're moving up and playing in St. Mary's. That game, St. Mary's Montauk had that game in control for a while. Yeah. Then St. Mary's had that game in control for a while, and then Montauk ended up winning it at the last minute, sort of like today's Steeler game.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
And I've seen Montauk twice this year, and it's a lot of Derek Bobin. To his credit, he's pretty much taken on that. He has 900. I guess he went into the Union game with 986 yards passing. if he can make some plays, Montauk's going to be successful.
And, you know, St. Mary's overcame an injury to TJ Hogan, who was a 1,000-yard rusher last year, was going to be, was going to be their leading player this year. Second scrimmage, he blows out his ankle. And been gone for the entire season. And yet the Dutch have found a way to move beyond that. And they've done that with the threesome of Matt Marconi,
Christian Steffen.
Steffen and Nathan Straub leading the way. All three of them have gone over 400 yards rushing. A couple of those guys over 600 yards on the year. Been real key to being able to pick up the pieces where maybe a lot of teams lose TJ Hogan and they aren't able to sustain that. Those three guys have been real key to St. Mary's being able to move beyond that injury.
And they throw just enough. Pat Schlimm's the quarterback, 750 yards going into last week's game against Ridgeway. Brady Bauer, a senior, is his leading receiver, about 500 yards of that, so the bulk of it goes to Bauer. And Nick Cunningham's the big playmaker on defense, leads the team in sacks. It's going to be a good matchup, probably one of the better matchups of this week. You know, both teams have, and St. Mary, I think we've heard Montauk has been a team that a lot of people have said has improved as the season's gone on, and that's what you want as a coach.
No
whether
question.
you win a district title or not.
And you know, you talked about Derek Bobbin, and he has been the key guy for them. I mean, my goodness, 1,000 yards receiving, passing, over 700 yards rushing. Dalton Anderson has really stepped up in the second half of the year to become his go-to wide receiver as well.
Right.
They can't be real happy, though, with the way that they finished the season last week against Union. I think they would have liked to have continued their momentum, and that momentum really came to a crashing halt last week.
Yeah, and I misread that game. I thought maybe I didn't give Union enough credit. You know, they've been such a team to predict anyway. But with Montauk, you figure with something on the line that they would come out at home and do well, and they didn't. So yeah, they have something to prove going up to St. Mary. That's a long trip.
Yeah, so that'll be an interesting game. They played last year up there, and I think it was 7-6 St. Mary's in the semifinals game last year. Yeah. Weather played a real huge factor there. Yeah. Now, St. Mary's has replaced its turf. They went up, and it's still grass, but they did do a field replacement up there last year, and I do understand that it has improved things greatly. So even if we do get some wet weather this week, it might not be as bad as it's been in the past.
Yeah, let's hope so, and that's something you don't want to be too much of you don't want it to be too much of a factor in playoffs.
Yeah, no question. So when we come back, we'll get to what everybody's really waiting for, which is the Class A playoffs. You're watching the D9Sports.com EYT Media live District 9 playoff football video.
It can happen anytime, anywhere, when you least expect it. That's why there's Bauer Truck Repair. And when you need to get back on the road and keep the wheels moving, we have the people and the power to get the job done. From 24-hour roadside repairs to towing and recovery services, our professional team is on call 24/7. And whether your truck needs a simple oil change or a complete engine rebuild, Bauer Truck Repair has the technology, the tools, and the team to get you back on the road. Our state-of-the-art facility is second to none to keep up the demand for truck and trailer repairs, plus state and federal inspections, preventative maintenance, and more, all at Bauer Truck Repair. Just off I-80 and Route 66 in Shippensville, 814-226-6023, or visit us online at PIAA
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion too.
We're Clarion too.
And I'm a member.
A member.
A member.
Clarion Federal Credit Union.
And now, even if you're in Venango, Forest, Clarion, or Jefferson counties, you can be a member too. Better than a bank with great rates and fee-less checking options. See how membership can really pay off no matter where you are. Only at Clarion Federal Credit Union.
When my family opened up the carpet barn back in 1971, Clarion looked a lot different than it does today. Over the past 44 years, we've dedicated ourselves to being your place for not only the best carpet, but also the most reliable service. We've learned that our customers are the most valuable assets we have. And if we continue to offer affordable carpet and dependable service, we can look forward to the next 44 years in the Clarion area. Come visit us today at the Carpet Barn.
There's golf. Then there's Treasure Lake. 2 PGA-rated courses and the ultimate golfing experience, and the most breathtaking and beautifully maintained courses in the region. Always affordable with special offers and amazing discounts. Finally, spectacular golf at an affordable price. Welcome to Treasure Lake. For packages, memberships, video tours, and more, visit our website at treasurelakepoa.com. There's golf.
Our home, our history, our pride. Year after year, as seasons change and memories are made, one thing will never change. Home is always right here. And when you walk through our doors, we never forget that, because this is our home too. So come on in, have a seat, and welcome home. The Triple R Roadhouse in the Clarion Mall, just off Interstate 80 at exit 62.
Welcome back to the D9Sports.com EYT Media District 9 Live Football Playoff Preview video. Chris Rossetti alongside here with Rich Rhodes. Getting into the Class A bracket, Rich, this is the one that everybody wants to know about. Why don't you go ahead and sort of run down what the bracket is for folks?
Well, top of the bracket, if you want to put the 1-8 seed, it's Coudersport 5-4 at Red Bank Valley, 7-2, the KSAC Small School Division champions. The 4-5 game would be two teams from the AML, and that would be Elk County Catholic. It's 7-2 at the Brockway Rovers. Rovers are 8-2. Other half of the bracket, you have the 2-7 game, which is Port Allegheny 6-4 at Kane 10-0. Heard that matchup a couple times this year already. And Kerwinsville 7-3 at 6-4 Clarion, the 3-6 game at the bottom of the bracket. Defending champion Kane. Did we think Kane was going to be undefeated going into this year? Looking back, we had some preconceived notions.
We weren't sure exactly if they were going to be able to replace John English at running back or
Lincolnfelder.
Yeah, Lincolnfelder at wide receiver. I mean, not wide receiver, at linebacker. But
right.
It's like they've really built the program in District 9 right now.
Yeah, they are a. They've kind of cycled through a couple groups of kids, and they're still right where they're at. I mean, they are a strong Class A program right now, and they are the favorites going in just by virtue of what they've done in the AML schedule. The AML had a pretty good South Division season, but we have two Northern Division AML North teams in it this year. There were none in last year, so you could say it's an improved division up there. Took advantage of some maybe some KSAC small schools beating up on each other and getting upset. But here we are. We have two KSAC small teams in it and 6 AML teams.
Yeah, let's start with the matchups. You've got the 8-1 game, and even though Red Bank Valley's got 2 losses, they are the 1 seed thanks to the preceding that District 9 does. They'll be hosting a Coudersport team. Now, you want to talk about a surprise in District 9 this year. This Coudersport team won 1 game last year. You talked to first-year head coach Ben Carey. These kids didn't win very much in junior high or JV ball either. So they're really a surprise. And it really started with a win over Ridgeway that broke the long losing streak for the AML North against the AML South back at the end of September there. But this Coudersport team has really come out of nowhere to be in the playoffs.
2 trivia questions. I'll see if you can answer them. What team is the only team in the District 9 playoffs that has more passing yards than rushing yards?
Cowdy.
Right. And has Cowdy ever played Red Bank in the history of either team's program?
No.
You're 2-0.
Wow, that's impressive. I would have thought that Coudersport would have played them at one point in time.
No, they have not, according to our records, and so that'll be nice. Nice to see. I'll have a chance to see that game. I'll be covering that game. It's purple versus red. That's a combination that probably has happened, and red's very prevalent.
Except in this case, it's going to be white versus red because they'll be wearing their white uniforms.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. There'll be a purple helmets, right? I think there's purple helmets.
Yeah, there are purple helmets.
Yeah, I mean, the Coudersport is the only team in the district. And think about that. Well, I'm wrong. Du Bois has passes too. Yeah, okay. Du Bois is the only other team that has passed for more than they've rushed. Coudersport, Darren Keglevitz, a senior, 1,100 yards passing, and that's not a lot. So this team doesn't have a lot of yards when you're talking about statistics. They just haven't run the ball very well. Maybe that's how that's really come out. He's the quarterback. He's thrown for 16 touchdowns. Aaron Wolfinger, 325 yards. Those aren't pretty stats. They didn't play last week, so they've only played 9 games. Red Bank, they got a chance to play this past week, no, they didn't. They're both you're right. Yeah, you're right. They both only had 9 games.
Last year when Red Bank played a Week 10 game.
But the weird thing is, Coudersport didn't know neither team knew who they were playing, so there's no advantage here.
It is interesting, though, although I will say there is a little bit of an advantage. Countersport did know who they were playing. They didn't know whether they were in or not, Ridge.
That's a good
but
point.
they knew that if they were in,
Yeah.
that they were going to play Red Bank Valley. And so I know, actually, Dustin Kiefer and I asked head coach Ben Carey that on our Advanced Disposal Friday Night Overtime show. And he has been watching Red Bank Valley video all week because they knew that if they were in the playoffs,
Yeah.
they had no choice. They were going to play the Red Bank Valley Bulldogs. Red Bank didn't know who, but
Yeah.
in Red Bank's case, they did know that if they were going to play a team that they hadn't played already, that it was going to
Yes.
be Countersport.
Right.
So they would have already had game plans in place for Kerwinsville and for Keystone. Maybe not the exact game plan they wanted, but they would have already had an idea of what those two teams were. So really, in the long run, I don't know if there's a huge advantage there at all. You look at the Red Bank Valley Bulldogs, and Wyatt Hetrick is the guy that comes to mind right away when you're looking at them.
He has been again, I've seen Red Bank as much as anybody, but Wyatt Hetrick's probably the best football player I've seen in person all year. Question is, are they going to use him like they did most of the season? I get a hint that they're not. I mean, last week against Clarion, he carried the ball 24 times. This kid can run over kids and outrace kids. That's what you want in your tailback. Now, they didn't line him up as tailback, but they ran him out of the backfield. And he has over 500 yards receiving and rushing. Last week he had 24 carries. Going into that game he had 32. This is going to be a little different looking offense with him maybe being a little more featured, which is very wise, I think.
No question, and you really have to give it up to Connor Shoemaker.
Absolutely.
Lost the battle for quarterback to Devin Shimp coming into the season. Shimp gets hurt, forcing Shoemaker back into that role at quarterback. He played so well that now Shimp's back and Shoemaker's still the quarterback.
Yeah, and Shimp has taken some reps, had a big catch in the Clarion game at receiver. So they're lining him up as receiver where he's been before anyway. And Connor Shoemaker, you can't give him enough credit actually. 906, he's going to go over 1,000 yards most likely quarterback or passing in his first season at quarterback. 16 touchdowns. He's a dangerous runner. He's running for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. I like how they roll him out and find those short passes. He throws darts and really it's a good offense, but really it's not. What they end up doing in the playoffs is going to depend largely on what they do defensively. And you look at that Kerwinsville game; they didn't play good defense, and if they don't play good defense, they may struggle against Countersport. They'll definitely struggle after the first round. And I'm not saying they didn't have a bad. They got to play playoff defense.
Yeah, and the real question for Red Bank Valley is, can they get past some issues in the postseason? It's been a while since they've really made a lot. I mean, they did get to the district championship game a couple years ago where they lost to a really good Clarion team there 2 years ago. But for the most part, they've struggled come playoff time. Last year they got upset at home in a 5-4 game against Brockway. Other years where they just, for whatever reason, it hasn't worked for them in the playoffs. Will it work for them this year in the playoffs is the big question.
I just think it comes down to defense. I mean, they have a decent defense, but it's the playoffs. Now it's time you got to make a stand, and it's got to. I'm guessing they're really leaning on setting the tone this week against the Falcons, which again, it'll be an interesting matchup between two teams that have never played each other.
Yeah, and then you move into the 5-4 game. The winners will play each other between that Red Bank and County game and this game, Elk County Catholic and Brockway. That's at 7 o'clock Friday night at Brockway, as you mentioned. Rematch of a game 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now, Elk hasn't played since they lost that game to Brockway 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Brockway did have a game against Mercer this past week, which they won fairly easily, I think 25-7.
Right.
So when you look at this, and these two teams are very, very familiar. Like I said, Elk's basically been practicing now for Brockway for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think the off week helps the Crusaders. They've had some. They don't have a lot of kids to begin with. Only 17 or 18 to begin with. They've had some injuries, and even guys that haven't missed time are, I'm sure, banged up playing all that time. So an off week may have come at the perfect time for them. And could this be one of those rematch games that you see that could flip flop?
I tell you what, and Elk County, they were 7-0, and then they lost to Kane and Brockway. And as you mentioned, they have a lot. I just think they have a lot of character there, where they have really been, despite maybe some limitations on numbers, the Kerwinsville win, some of the big plays they've made earlier in the season. It'll be very interesting to see which team makes better adjustments. Obviously, Elk has to make more, I guess, right? Because they got beat 35-12. They have to close that gap. It will be interesting to see what the Crusaders pull out and try to do differently, and how Brockway counteracts that. Brockway, very good football team as well. There's no question that this team could win the district title as well, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, when you look at Brockway, they've overcome the loss of Anthony Isabella to a torn ACL, and that was a big loss. This was a kid that was definitely one of the top players in District 9. You lose a kid like that, it took them a couple weeks to rebound from that and figure out what they were doing. But man, Hunter Miller at quarterback, seems like there's like a whole lot of Millers, by the way, at quarterback. Bo Miller, Hunter Miller, Matt Miller.
And we haven't screwed it up yet, I don't think.
Hunter Miller at quarterback for Brockway. Mark Latuska has really become a real workhorse. He's a big, bruising running back for them. Maybe the old school type Brockway running backs.
Yeah, he is a physical runner. I've noticed that, and you know, it's just very interesting to see. I like the balance that Brockway has, and even, you know, coming into the year, I know you and I were like, okay, maybe Brockway's the preseason favorite. They're not far off that now. They really haven't disappointed, despite losing a very good football player to injury. And a guy in the preseason, right? Martino, I believe.
Yeah.
They lost two really good
they've
football
lost two
players.
very good football players. You know, you look at it, and I think part of it is the way District 9 seeds, and we're not going to get into that too much, but, you know, just the fact that the 4 seed, and they're probably not the 4th best team. They're probably the 2nd or 3rd best team in the district, and so you look at it, and yet at the same time, this is a tough matchup to have to play Elk County Catholic again.
Yes, I think that's a credit to Elk County Catholic and the coaching that's been going on up there. Brockway's the favorite there at home. They beat him last time, but I don't know if I'd give up too many points. You know, I don't know what the spread is, and if you went that direction, that'd be a tough one to pick. If you talk about that, it's a very interesting. It is an interesting matchup because of just the coaching and the success of both of these programs.
Well, Rich, let's take a break, and when we come back, we will highlight the bottom half of that A bracket. You're watching, listening. Too much radio in me. Watching and listening to the D9sports.com EYT Media Live football, District 9 football playoff preview video.
It can happen anytime, anywhere, when you least expect it. That's why there's Bauer Truck Repair. And when you need to get back on the road and keep the wheels moving, we have the people and the power to get the job done. From 24-hour roadside repairs to towing and recovery services, our professional team is on call 24/7. And whether your truck needs a simple oil change or a complete engine rebuild, Bauer Truck Repair has the technology, the tools, and the team to get you back on the road. Our state-of-the-art facility is second to none to keep up the demand for truck and trailer repairs, plus state and federal inspections, preventative maintenance, and more, all at Bauer Truck Repair. Just off I-80 and Route 66 in Shippenville, 814-226-6023, or visit us online at PIAA
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion.
I'm Clarion too.
We're Clarion too.
And I'm a member.
A member.
A member.
Clarion Federal Credit Union.
And now, even if you're in Venango, Forest, Clarion, or Jefferson counties, you can be a member too. Better than a bank with great rates and fee-less checking options. See how membership can really pay off no matter where you are. Only at Clarion Federal Credit Union.
When my family opened up the carpet barn back in 1971, Clarion looked a lot different than it does today. Over the past 44 years, we've dedicated ourselves to being your place for not only the best carpet, but also the most reliable service. We've learned that our customers are the most valuable assets we have. And if we continue to offer affordable carpet and dependable service, we can look forward to the next 44 years in the Clarion area. Come visit us today at the Carpet Barn.
There's golf. Then there's Treasure Lake. 2 PGA-rated courses and the ultimate golfing experience, and the most breathtaking and beautifully maintained courses in the region. Always affordable with special offers and amazing discounts. Finally, spectacular golf at an affordable price. Welcome to Treasure Lake. For packages, memberships, video tours, and more, visit our website at treasurelakepoa.com.
Our home, our history, our pride. Year after year, as seasons change and memories are made, one thing will never change. Home is always right here. And when you walk through our doors, we never forget that, because this is our home too. So come on in, have a seat, and welcome home. The Triple R Roadhouse in the Clarion Mall, just off Interstate 80 at exit 62.
Welcome back here at the EYT Media Studios. Chris Rossetti, Rich Rhodes here on the live D9sports.com EYT Media District 9 football playoff preview video. Time for the bottom half of that A bracket, Rich. And when you start with the 6-3 game, Carwinsville-Clarion, this is another rematch from a playoff game a year ago. Carwinsville gave a heavily favored Clarion team fits for about a half a year ago. Clarion pulled away in the second half. I see this is an interesting game. Clarion's had an interesting season, but we'll start with Carwinsville first. The Tide came out this year. They're throwing the ball a little bit more than they have in the past.
Yeah, and their numbers look really cool. I mean, it's a great stat sheet for the Golden Tide. I mean, sophomore running back Nick Stewart is, that's speak about somebody that seems like he's been around forever. We got to get 2 more years with him, let alone the running back from Clearfield. So he's a sophomore. He ran for 13. He's run for 1373 going into the Blairsville game this past week, and he had 4 more touchdowns in that game. So he has 22 touchdowns, I believe. Jacob Terry, the quarterback, has passed for over 1,200 yards and 15 touchdowns. And then the receiver, Quamone Newkirk, 11 touchdowns going into Blairsville, 635 yards. That's a lot of balance. And certainly in one of the matchups we saw earlier this year, the Carwinsville gave Red Bank fits in a lot of that game, but yet they've struggled in the AML South. How good is this Golden Tide team, and how do they match up against Clarion? It's a question.
It really is the question, and you know that they can run the football. And it seems like when the going gets tough, Coach Andy Ivanko still sort of pulls the reins in on Mr. Terry and doesn't like to throw the ball as much when things are really getting tough. And
which a lot of coaches
do. Yeah, and that's happened a couple of times in those AML games. They've gotten to be close games, and they've sort of gotten away from throwing the ball, which I think then makes them more one-dimensional and easier to defend.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting now. Talk about one-dimensional. Clarion's got to prove they can throw the ball. And they have struggled mightily in that category this year, which is a big factor right now.
Yeah, outside of one game here, or 2 games maybe tops, they've really struggled, as you said, to put the ball in the air. And it hasn't all fallen on the senior quarterback, Bo Miller. A lot of that, you've seen it, I've seen it, their receivers aren't the best receivers in the world. They drop a lot of passes, do a lot of things like that. To me, though, it still comes down to getting the ball into the hands of Colton Rapp, their sophomore running back. When they get him the ball, they're generally a pretty good football team for whatever reason. And I don't know if it's because they're trying to, protect him as a sophomore, if there's been some injury issues, or what's going on. They don't get him the ball nearly enough for a talent that he is.
Well, we're going to see if they can change that. I know in the Brookfield game he came out, I think I told you I covered the Brookfield-Clarion game. Until, when the game was still early, he was getting the ball quite a bit. And then it got out of hand, and of course you're going to spread the ball around even more. But Rapp is obviously the big key for the Bobcats. There's no question about it. 577 yards, 7 touchdowns. He's better than that. He's talented, and on the turf, that's a dangerous runner, as is a lot of guys. But he's going to be dangerous on turf.
The other guy that's really carried the bulk of the load for them, especially in midseason, was Josh Cribble, and he lines up at wide receiver. But they like a lot of that misdirection, those cross bucks, things like that, where they get him the ball a lot as he's coming in motion and. That seems like that's been a staple of Clarion's offense for a while now.
Yeah, and they've been up and down. There's no question about it. They were about as down as we've seen that program in any stretch for a long time, with losses to Montauk and St. Mary's. Now they beat St. Mary's, losses to Union and Montauk, and then they bounced back, beat St. Mary's. Are they up right now? How up are they? Are they better than Kerwinsville at home? This could be a good matchup. It really could. I'm not. It would be. Being Clarion, they have to be pretty confident playing at home against the Tide, I would think.
You would, although once again, with the way that their season's gone, you don't know where the confidence level is right now. Obviously, what Brookville, I sort of rolled over for them on Friday night, so it was hard to tell exactly what happened in that game. And was that mostly Clarion? Was some of that Brookville?
Right.
You go back 2 weeks ago, they looked really good at St. Mary's, and then they came out, they looked good for a half against Red Bank.
And that was an interesting. They did play well against Red Bank in that half. Second half, I give more credit to Red Bank for shutting them down. Clarion couldn't do anything, and. Where you get they're certainly better off than when they were playing, in their losses against Union and Montauk. There's no question. That could be a good matchup. It really could be a good game.
Yeah, and then when you look at that, the winner of that will play the winner of the Port Allegheny at Kane game. I feel like it's Groundhog Day with this game.
Hey, 27.2% of these teams' seasons after this week will be played at Kane. This will be the third game between these two teams on that field. the way the quirky thing worked out. I mean, you had both teams win their division. They played during the regular season, so then they had to play again for the AML title, and they just happened to play in the first round. That I believe Coudersport and Kerwinsville ran into this a few years ago, where you played three. We always say this in basketball: hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. Can we apply it to Kane?
Boy, that's a tough one. You know, you look at it, and it was 21-0, and you look at the first score, and it was a lot worse than that.
66-22.
66-22, and yet you look at the stats from last Friday's AML title game, and it really could have been probably a lot worse than 21-0 because it was like 360 yards to like 70 yards. I don't know if Port Allegheny matches up very well here.
Port was minus 11 yards rushing and 11 for 33 passing, so they had no success.
Trey Garzell's going to have to be more accurate in this game if they're going to have any shot at winning it.
Yeah.
And he's been that most of the year. Going into that game, he was over 50% passing. Now he's dropped down to 47.9% passing. Boy, does he have a weapon, though, in Dylan Baumgartner. 492 yards, 8 touchdowns. There, he's also run for 223 yards and 4 touchdowns. Maybe like a poor man's Wyatt Heitrick in a lot of ways, Rich. But the Kane team, they're just so well balanced, so well coached.
They are.
You know, before winning the district title in A last year, remember they were in the AA championship game 2 years in a row. 3 years ago now, they lost on a last-second touchdown pass by Karn City, or they would have had a AA championship and a single A championship in a 3-year span there. Todd Silfies has done a wonderful job with that program. They may be the premier program in District 9 Class A right now.
Yeah, they are. They are. But, you know, again, Brockway's not very far behind. I got a chance to watch that game on video. That was an even game. Just to give, just to say that, what's the separation when you pick the whole bracket? The separation between Brockway and King was not much, especially in that game. But back to the Wolves here, since we're on that game. The senior twins, Tyler and Shane Rawlick, they've scored 26 out of the 33 touchdowns the team has done. Shane takes now a lot of snaps at quarterback. You wonder if he and Tyler switched it, if it wouldn't be the same thing. Tyler has 1,500 all-purpose yards going into the Port Allegheny game. He kicks the point after attempts. He has over 1,000 yards rushing. I mean, those two, along with Eric DeLong, they're averaging almost 8-9 yards a carry. It's just a very strong core.
That starts with that offensive line there, and those kids will all tell you that right away every time you talk about it.
Yeah.
And then the defensive side of the football. This is what Kane has built its hallmark on. We can talk all we want about the offense, but it's on defense that is the reason that Kane has got a shot at playing in its, what would this be now? Fourth straight District 9 championship game, 2 in AA. Now it would be 2 in A if they get there this year.
Right. That
defense has been outstanding all season.
Absolutely, yeah. They have played very strong, and it's just the program that it leads us to say that Kane is definitely favored.
And it's interesting. Once again, it's no eye-popping numbers on the defensive side of the ball, but a bunch of guys. And I mean, seriously, you've got like 8 or 9 guys with 30 or more tackles, led by Eric DeLong. Agni Costanzo, Ange Costanzo, both sophomores. Think about that. Their 2 leading tacklers are sophomores, and their 5th leading tackler in Anthony Smith, who's a East Forest kid, is also a sophomore. How good are they? Absolutely. How good are they? How good are they going to be on defense as it continues?
And DeLong's one of the running backs that doesn't carry the ball as much as Rawlix, but he's a sophomore.
In fact, Toby Fox is only a junior, and he's their 4th leading tackler. So of their top 5 tacklers, only Shane Rawlick is a senior in that group. So this is not only a really good defense, it's a really young defense as well. So it'll be interesting to see how all of that plays out. Okay, we've broken down the teams. We've broken down the matchups. Who do you see coming out of each of the brackets? We'll start with that Du Bois State College. Is there any way Du Bois beats State College?
No.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's no way Du Bois beats State College. In that AAA, is it Clearfield versus Somerset for the regional championship?
It is Clearfield versus Somerset. Where does it go from there? What's your thoughts?
Boy, that's a tough one, Rich. I don't know. Is Clearfield made up the difference from last year? Is Somerset maybe not quite as good as where it was last year? That's a toss-up to me. Flip a coin, pick it. I don't know. I'm not trying to weasel out of making a prediction here, but I really don't know who's going to come out of that. I think that could be a heck of a football game.
It's just the manner that they beat Clearfield last year that that really makes it tough. Did they close the gap? That's the question, and that's going to be the intrigue in AAA. If both teams get by, I guess Clearfield shouldn't look by Johnstown based on the scoreboard, based on our scoreboard observations, no question.
And then when you get into AA, if you put the best players on St. Mary's and the best players on Montauk, do they beat Karn City?
It'd be closer than if one of them took them on. Let's just say that. It would be closer. I can't go any further than that. It would be closer.
But Karn City is prohibitive favorites there in AA. And then in A, how do you see A falling?
Well, back to AA. The AA question, as we alluded to before, is how far does Karn City go? Do they get back? They get back to
the same place they've been the last couple of years. But I don't see any way that they beat either South Fayette, Aliquippa, whoever comes out of it.
And we didn't do our homework on District 5. Who is that team? I don't even know who they would be playing if they get by. But yeah, that's really going to get to Class A. It's going to be, I think.
Last year, Kane was the 6th seed and they won it. Can Kerwinsville do it out of it? We had somebody actually send us a PowerPoint presentation last week showing us how Kerwinsville's season almost identically mirrors the season of Kane a year ago. Do you think that there's any shot at that being, getting a lower seed to the championship game again?
I wish I'd have seen that before I answered that question. They might have turned me. No, I think Kerwinsville's going to win the bottom. Kane is going to win. I was convinced I didn't even see the PowerPoint. Kane is going to win the bottom part of that bracket. Clarion-Kerwinsville could be an interesting matchup. Not slighting, Kerwinsville's on the road. I mean, the question is the top. What's the top going to be? That Brockway is it going to be Brockway-Red Bank in the semis? That's the question. Kane's going to be in the finals.
I think it's going to be a rematch of Kane-Brockway, and that game came down to a blocked field goal.
Oh yeah, that was a really good game. I mean, Kerwinsville.
And that's a rematch of last year's championship game.
Brockway was first in goal, scored tied 14-14, snap over the head, and then they tried a field goal. Kane blocked it and ran it back. 21-14, that was it. So those two teams are even. The question is, can Red Bank prove to themselves maybe, prove to the rest of the district, prove to the AML that they're better than Brockway?
I think
that's a tough one. That's a tough one for Red Bank.
The KSAC was well matched this year, but I don't know how strong it was in the end.
I think you got to give the nod to the AML this year, and I think the Brockway Kane rematch is probably going to happen.
Yeah, I think so. So there it is. That's our thoughts. Sure, you folks will all be sharing your thoughts with us on D9sports.com as the weeks and go on. Don't forget, you can catch all the action this Friday night. We'll have our final advanced disposal Friday night overtime show on D9sports.com. Dustin Kiefer and myself will be on at 9:30. You can catch that on D9 Sports, also on radio stations across District 9. Also, we'll have a game of the week that we haven't announced yet. That'll be through exploreClarion. It's game of the week, and then we'll go from there. There'll be a lot of fun, a lot of action. This is the best time of the football season, Rich.
Well, the first week of the playoffs certainly is. This is a big This is kind of the peak of the interest, to be honest.
Yeah, it really is. You've got all these teams involved, fan bases from all of them wanting to see how things will go. I sort of like that second round, especially if they can do us if District 9 can figure out a way to get us that Saturday doubleheader of the A semifinals. That's always a lot of fun too.
Absolutely, and the weather again. Everybody wants good weather to get more people out to the games. If not, they're going to follow it along somewhere on their favorite radio station. I'm obviously going to
or on exploreClarion, which is actually where I would encourage everybody to watch it. Go to exploreClarion, go to D9 Sports. We'll have you covered with everything that you need.
Oh, absolutely.
In terms of all of that. So.
Yes. I would never not permit.
Yeah, but folks, thanks for joining us live. I know there were some hiccups as the broadcast went along, but hey, it was our first go at doing a live broadcast. We really appreciate it. If you're watching this on the archive stream, hopefully the archive stream, there weren't quite as many hiccups, but if there were, we apologize for those too. But we're trying to do some things to really increase the coverage of District 9 athletics here at D9sports.com and in conjunction with the EYT Media Network. And a special thanks to Jake Bauer, who's been behind the camera, working everything for us today with all the great video highlights and things as well. It's only going to grow bigger and better now, folks, as we continue our journey here with D9Sports.com and EYT Media. But thanks for joining us tonight, and go whatever your favorite football team is out there this week. So thanks again, and good night.
Shout out to Andy Close.